1613–1689, Tsarist rule under the early Romanovs. Key leaders: Fyodor Nikitich Romanov, Michael Romanov, known for restoration of order under the Romanov dynasty, which lasted from 1613–1917. The time of troubles ended when the last of the Poles were driven out of Moscow, and the assembly of the Landzenski Sover came together to elect a new Tsar. Michael Romanov was a distant relative of Fyodor I, the last of the Rurik line, and was released from captivity and co-ruled with his mother's family. Michael was assisted by his father, Fyodor Nikitich Romanov, during his reign. Fyodor had been banished to a monastery during Boris Godunov's reign, but was released after Godunov's death and made Patriarch of Russia during Michael's reign. Fyodor and Michael restored order to Russia and used the assembly of the land to strengthen the institution of serfdom, reform local government, centralized Tsarist authority. 1605–1613, the time of troubles. Key leaders: false Dmitri I, Vasily Shuisky, known for the Polish-Muscovite War, a declaration of war from Sweden, and a lack of a clear rule or governmental system. The time of troubles continued with the reign of the first false Dmitri. He became an incredibly controversial ruler due to his marriage to a Polish Catholic woman and refusal to attend Eastern Orthodox Church. False Dmitri's reign lasted for less than a year. A Muscovite prince, Vasily Shuisky, eventually overthrew and executed false Dmitri with the assistance of Russian nobles. Many of false Dmitri's Polish supporters were murdered as well. Shuisky's reign proved short-lived, as yet another man came forward claiming to be Ivan Roman IV's murdered son Dmitri. Shuisky signed an alliance with Sweden, while the second false Dmitri also gained support from the Roman Catholic Poland. This eventually resulted in the Polish-Muscovite War from 1605 to 1618, in which Shuisky was eventually forced to abdicate. However, the second false Dmitri did not immediately take the throne, as Poland presented Wladyslaw Roman IV Boasson, then Prince of Poland, as a rival candidate. Boasson did serve as Tsar of Russia, but widespread mistrust of Polish rule and a resentment of the rise of Roman Catholicism led to more wars and uprisings. Sweden, then rivals of Poland, outright declared war on Russia, and the country struggled to establish a concrete government system. During this time period, there was no clear ruler of Russia, and the country fell into political and economic turmoil. 1581–1605, end of Rurik Dynasty and rise of false Dmitri. 1581–1605, end of Rurik Dynasty and rise of false Dmitri. 1533–1581, rise of Ivan the Terrible and establishment of the Tsar system. Key leaders: Ivan Roman IV, known for establishment of the Tsar in 1547 and beginning of widespread government surveillance after amassing a personal fortune and conquering several rivals. Ivan Roman IV became the Grand Duke of Moscow in 1533. Known as Ivan the Terrible, he was prone to violent outbursts and used ruthless military tactics to push back the Mongols and reconquer ancient Russian lands. In 1547, he was crowned the Tsar of all Russia. As Tsar, Ivan minimized the power of the noble class, took dictatorial power over the area surrounding Moscow, and punished traitors and lawbreakers severely. The system of justice under Ivan Roman IV, the Sudebnik, clearly defined laws and punishments, while eliminating corruption and judicial misconduct. Ivan also created the oprichniki, the first secret police in Russia. The Oprichniki rode through Russia on black horses with saddles emblazoned with a symbol of a broom and a dog's head. The broom signified Ivan's intention to sweep Russia of corruption, and the dog's head was a reminder that Tsar was always watching. 1283–1533, end of Mongol rule and establishment of an aristocracy. Key leaders: Dmitri Donskoy, Vasily I, Vasily Roman II, Ivan Roman III, Vasily Roman III, known for reasserting dominance over the Mongols in 1389, and the establishment of an aristocracy. With the growth of Moscow under the Mongols, the princes there grew in authority and became known as Grand Princes or Grand Dukes like their early predecessors at Kiev. The Mongols were happy to let the Grand Dukes exist with a fair amount of autonomy as long as they got their taxes. Beginning in the late 14th century, the Grand Duke was made by heredity rather than Mongol choice. In 1389, Grand Duke Dmitri Donskoy asserted his son would succeed him, ending 150 years of Mongolian dominance. Over the 14th and early 16th centuries, the Grand Dukes of Moscow established a stable line of succession and consolidated power. Vasily Roman II, Ivan Roman III, and Vasily Roman III all used military might to extend the authority of the Grand Dukes of Moscow to independent principalities like Novgorod. Slowly, the Grand Dukes of Moscow converted their rule over their subjects to an autocracy. 1240–1271, Mongol domination and the Golden Horde. Key leaders: Batu Khan, known for Mongol sack of Kiev, establishment of the Golden Horde, a shift to feudalism. Batu Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, finally seized Kiev in 1240 and broke up the dynasty of the Rus. The Mongols established a capital at Sarai on the Volga River, but they stationed men in every town. The Mongol state established during this time came to be known as the Golden Horde and lasted until the end of the 15th century. The center of administrative and cultural life in Russia shifted from Kiev to Moscow. The Mongols worked with the local leadership, including the Grand Princes, but maintained an overlordship and collected taxes while remaining culturally distinct. The Golden Horde dramatically changed the social structure in Russia, especially for working-class peasants. Peasants were forced to give up their crops to their respective princes or Mongol overlords. This created a feudal system, with many of the working class effectively becoming serfs of the ruling class in return for stability and protection. 882–1240, Kievan Rus Dynasty. Key leaders: Oleg, Igor, Olga, Svyatoslav, Vladimir I, known for capture of Kiev, establishment of the first Kievan Rus law code, introduction of Christianity, early battles with the Mongols. Oleg and his successors Igor, allegedly the son of Rurik, Igor's wife Olga, and their son Svyatoslav, consolidated control of the area around Kiev during the 10th century. During the reign of Igor's grandson, Vladimir, Christianity was introduced and the Rus' control over Kiev was solidified. The lands were organized into a confederation of states based in nearby cities and led by Vladimir's sons. Vladimir created a hierarchy of sorts and a patterns of succession involving younger brothers and nephews replacing deceased leaders throughout the various territories. The eldest son was the Grand Prince, sometimes called the Grand Duke of Kiev. Through the 11th, 12th, and part of the 13th centuries, Kiev carried out military battles and engaged in trade activities, extending their sphere of influence south to the Baltic Sea. However, There were tensions involving the order of succession. Princes sometimes attempted to seize power instead of waiting their turn, and territories occasionally rejected their given leader. During the 13th century, the princes came into increasing contact with the Mongols. At the Battle of Kalka River in 1223, the Mongols made their first attempt to invade Russia and destroyed the Kievan army. 862–882 Rurik State. Leader, Rurik, known for establishment of the Rurik State based in Novgorod. Foundation for the Rus Dynasty. Rurik was a Viking or Varangian who was either invited by the inhabitants of Novgorod to rule in 862 or captured the city during the 860s. Due to conflicting reports and inconsistencies regarding record-keeping, a lot about Rurik's reign is unclear, and some historians doubt he existed at all. Regardless of how it came to be, the Rurik dynasty was a legitimate Russian government system. Rurik and his two brothers allegedly established themselves in the region, creating the first Russian state. When Rurik died in 879 CE, he gave the city and region to Oleg, his kinsman. He also entrusted his son Igor to Oleg.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.